Ghostly guys and gals, it's Ghost here, and welcome to part 6 of the story of my life. So, when we last left off, I was talking about you know, my suicide attempt and how, I took a poison out of a Tide Pod and tried to kill myself, and that didn't work. So, yeah, and now I'm gonna, talk about going to the hospital and my experience with that. So, my mom took me to the hospital, and it was like the evening time. It was like 6 p.m. by the time we got there. And, they looked at me, they checked me out and stuff. And the doctor was kind of like, yeah, it doesn't look like your throat was seriously burned or anything. And you might have like a bit of a sore throat for like the next few days, but you'll be fine. And yeah, so I didn't even come close to killing myself, but that's good, I guess. I don't know. So but obviously he's like, "What? You're gonna have to go to the psychiatric center." And I was kind of like, "What does that entail?" And he's like, "Well, you're gonna go there for like a week, and you're gonna go to like a bunch of different group therapies, and they're gonna talk to you, and they're gonna put you on medications if you're not already on them, and you know." Maybe a lot of you have also, like experienced this, but it's just like, yeah, they do a lot of psychiatric work. They do group therapies, individual therapies. They put you on medicines and that sort of thing. And he also was like, and if you don't have like a psychiatrist or a therapist, they'll set you up with one at the end. But I already had one, so that part was irrelevant. But yeah. So anyway, I we had to wait like a few hours for I don't know. I don't remember if we had to wait to see the doctor, or if it was we had to wait to get the ambulance to take me to the psychiatric ward. It was like a different building that was down the street or something, and yeah. So I don't know, but basically, I got to the psychiatric ward at around 2 or 3 in the morning, and they checked me in, and they like had me fill out all these forms with markers and crayons or whatever because we can't have anything sharp or else I guess we might try to hurt ourselves with it. But yeah, I was not happy. I was not a happy camper because you don't get to have your phone, at least at the ward I went to. And also I went to like an inpatient facility later, and it was the same thing. But I've heard of like, I don't know about in America, but I've heard like there was this guy in Scotland I remember hearing about who was like, he's like, oh yeah, we can have our phones here. And I was like, really? Like we didn't get to have our phones? And yeah. But so basically at this facility we could not have access to our phones. They made us give it to them. And I also had to take the shoelaces off my shoes and like get zip ties to have them on instead because you can't have the laces, but you could try to use it to kill yourself. And yeah, so that sucked. I also had like I had some shorts and they had like string in that, and I also had to like take those out. That was annoying. But yeah, so that I was not really happy about that at first, and I was not excited to be there. It was like a ward where it was like, basically teenagers, I think, like 13 to 18-year olds. I think like yeah, the youngest person I knew there was like 13 and the oldest was 18. So I was obviously on the older side. I was one of the older people there. I was, 17 at the time. And yeah, so I was there and I wasn't necessarily happy to be there at first. But it ended up being a pretty good experience because I met a lot of amazing people there, and like I had never really talked about these issues with other people my age. Like I never said anything about this to my friends. Like I was always very secretive about it, and even to this day, I'm kind of secretive about it. I mean, I guess not. So I'm making a whole YouTube channel about it, but I've been very secretive about it, not telling people about like, oh yeah, I have all these mental health issues and stuff. But you know, so yeah, I never really talked to anybody about this, and it was just really refreshing to meet people my age who had the same problems I had, and I felt like I could really relate to them, and it was amazing. I met some really cool people there, I thought, and one person in particular really helped me, and I really felt like I grew an attachment to. And her name was, well, we'll call her Ireland. And I want to call her that because she had this very pretty red hair and kind of like a freckled face. Like, so she kind of looked like a little Irish, but she was, I don't think she was actually Irish. Maybe, I don't know. But she was very pretty. And, you know, I was just like, every day we had like a little bit of a rec time where we could go outside and like, there was a swing set and there was a playground, there was a basketball court. And so I was like, I'm going to play basketball. So I was. And then Ireland approached me and was just like, hey, Ghost, you seem pretty good at basketball. I was like, oh, I'm not at all. I just like to play. I like to watch basketball and stuff. And she was like, oh, yeah, me too. I used to play basketball when I was younger, and I love to watch basketball. And, that was something we kind of, bonded over. And we talked about basketball stuff. The playoffs were going back on back then. We were talking about, our favorite teams and stuff. And yeah, so we were talking and we kind of like found we had a lot of things in common, and we just, I don't know, we just had like a good chemistry, I guess. We just vibed very well together. I don't really like, I wish I remembered more things that I could say, like to kind of illustrate this, but we had like some things in common. We both like to watch YouTube and like gaming videos and that sort of thing. So we had like, basketball and all that. We had things in common, and we just enjoyed each other's company. And, she just really helped me because just having that time with her, and like she told me some things about me that like really helped me and my self-esteem. And people have told me that these things before. I don't know, maybe it's just because it was coming from like a cute girl that it like meant so much to me. But it was like, you know we were like, every night before we went to bed we would have like a process group, and then like a nurse or an orderly or whatever, like a therapist, they would like come and they would like, ask us all about our days. And maybe they would give us a presentation about different things in regards to mental health. And I mentioned in the process group like, oh, I feel like I'm such an evil bad person and I hate myself. And then Ireland was like, Ghost, I think you're a really cool guy. I think you're, a really good person. And I don't know, that just, for some reason, that really just resonated with me. I was just like, wow, she really, thinks this about me. And that makes me feel so much better. And so, yeah, and, I guess you could say I kind of developed a bit of a crush on her, or like, whatever. But the bad thing is that they were very strict about, like, you could not share contact information at all. And yeah, so like she left a few days before I left the psychiatric ward, and I managed to get this one guy's number. Like I just snuck his number, like, whatever, out somehow. But yeah, I haven't talked to him as like since then. Basically, we never really became kept talking. I still have his number, but it would be really weird if I just talked to him again. But anyway, so yeah, but I didn't have Ireland's number, or social media or anything, and I really wanted her stuff. And like I said, we couldn't just exchange information. I guess there's some sort of like law maybe regarding minors and the medical system, and there's all like these confidential protocols, something like that. Basically, yeah, we just weren't allowed to exchange stuff. And I don't know, I guess I didn't really think to just ask her like, oh, what's your Snapchat, and then she could just told me and I would just remembered it or whatever, in my head. But I did end up asking her, and I knew her last name, and I was kind of like, oh, well, I could just look her up and maybe I'll just find her social media and stuff. And anyway, I got out the hospital and I was feeling great. I was like, this is great. I have such a positive attitude now. And they put me on Prozac, which I think is probably the best antidepressant I've ever been on. That's been the most effective for me anyway. And I'm on Prozac now. I mean, I was on a different medications. I was off Prozac entirely at one point, but they put me on Prozac for the first time, and it was like, I think it was doing a lot of good for me. And I just felt great leaving that hospital, and like I had like a good time there, but at the same time I also was like happy to just be out in the world again. And you know, use my phone, watch YouTube, just be at my own house in my own bed and stuff. And it was, just like, oh, I feel great, And it was like a really positive experience when I went to the hospital. Um, at least that time. I went to an inpatient facility later and it wasn't as great of an experience, but I mean, even at that time, I got something out of it. But we'll get to that later. But anyway, this experience was very good. It was great. But I wanted to reconnect with Ireland. I wanted to be her friend, if not more. So, I kind of started asking people around my school, like, hey, do you know anybody who goes to such and such school? She told me, the high school she went to. So I was like, looking for people who knew people who went to that school. And, I was like looking her up on the internet, social media, and all this stuff. And I couldn't find her. And I was also asking around for like this other girl that I was friends with. She was also very cute, and I liked her a lot too. Um, we didn't have as much of a connection as me and Ireland did, but I still liked her. I was like, if I can't find Ireland, this girl could be a good backup to maybe try to make a relationship with. Like, I don't know. For some reason, after I got out of the hospital, I was a lot more. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the contact I had with the girls there, because I never really interacted with girls for most of my high school years because I was going to an all boys school and I didn't do much else outside of school. So yeah, maybe that was it. But like when I got out, I feel like I was a lot more like, man, I want a relationship, and so I was like, asking around, and eventually I did find that other girl, and we kind of like I actually got her number from like a this other guy, and we were talking a bit and stuff, and I don't know what happened. Maybe I was just being too weird. Like maybe it was just too weird me coming out of the blue and stuff, and I don't know. And I tried to like be her friend and stuff, and maybe I don't remember. Like I was trying to kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like get closer to her to like make her get into a position where we could be in a relationship. But she just kind of started to ghost me, and it was kind of like, well, oh well. I also still have her number, but don't think she would want to talk to me if she even remembered who I am. Um, but anyway, so like, and I couldn't find Ireland anywhere on social media, or nobody knew who she was, and I even had like my sister had like we had like an old friend from like my old house, like in the neighborhood. We had like a neighborhood little friend, and he went to the same high school as her, and she even said like she knew him. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I like she knew some other guy with his same name, but I was like, I told Emily, my sister, like, hey, reach out to our friend and ask him if she, he knows this girl. But then like he did it, even though they went to the same high school. They weren't in the same grade, but it was like I was hoping that was gonna work, but it didn't. So I was pretty bummed about that. I was like, man, I really wish we could have, been knowing each other longer, been more closer and friends, and maybe even more. And she'll come back later, but anyway, for the near future, it was like, oh well, oh well. I mean, she'll just always be a good memory. And like I said, I was in a really good place mentally when I left the hospital. I was so happy to just be able to like have another shot at life and stuff. And it turns out, I finished my junior year and I was able to not fail anything. And I was looking at things with all sorts of hope, and I was very happy. Well, not very happy, but I was very like compared to what I've been in the past few years. I was very happy. So basically, I was very happy. And I decided, like, my senior year was coming up, and obviously college applications and all that would be coming into play. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I really decided that I wanted to pursue Japanese like language and culture because recently I had been studying it in my free time, and um, I'd really gotten into it. Like even before then, I was like studying different languages on like Duolingo and stuff, and so it was just something that I thought was cool. So then one day I just kind of got bored of other languages. I mean, that would always happen. I'll get bored of like a language. I'd like move on to some other language. I actually managed to finish the Swedish course in Duolingo, but I don't remember anything from it. So yeah. Anyway, but one day I decided let me try Japanese, and it was so awesome to me. Like I just thought it was so cool. It was like of all the languages I ever learned, it was like the most mentally stimulating. I thought it sounded very beautiful, and I just like I love the culture, and I just thought it was amazing. And I was like, I want to pursue this, and you know, so I basically decided I want to go to college and get a Japanese degree. And then I want to hopefully go on to become a Japanese professor or like a Japanese teacher, or maybe like go to Japan and help foreign students, with being an international student at Japanese university, like some sort of position like that, maybe something like that. So I really wanted to like pursue that, and I was really excited, and I was like, oh man, there's so much hope now, and I was in a very, very positive place. And I think I'll pick up this whole thing in the next video. But yeah, so I'll see you guys all then. I hope you all like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, bye.